And so we look at, while we're on that subject, at this product we have here. It's called TrueFocus. This is a brain entrainment system. This is not hypnosis. As I mentioned before, your brain processor is always taking speeds right now, and as people watch the flames of that fire, it's pulsing at about 6, 7, 8, 9 cycles per second, like this. And pretty soon the brain that was so active and so stressed, it begins to relax because its speed slows down to match the pulsations of the flame. And everybody says, boy, I feel good. I just love looking at a fire. It relaxes me, and that's why. It's a form of brain entrainment. It's not hypnosis. We may feel like that at times, but that's why it has such a relaxing effect. Music does the same thing. It's based on frequency. And if I put a frequency of, say, 100 hertz here, in this ear, and 110 here, now that's out of the range of your brain. I've got 100 and 110 hertz. But if I check the brain speed, guess what it would be at? 10 cycles. It'll subtract 100 from the 110, and you'll be at 10 cycles. It does its math that way. And so they build brain entrainment systems based on all of that research. And that's factual stuff. It's been going on since the early 1800s. It was discovered that the brain entrains. It has its own frequency speeds and things. So what TrueFocus does, sometimes our brains get stuck in a certain gear. It's like a transmission that won't upshift or won't downshift. Some of us are stuck in reverse. We can't wake up in the morning. Some of us are stuck in overdrive. We can't fall asleep at night. See? And so all this thing does, you'll hear pulsations. And they may start fast, or they may start slow, and they begin to slowly speed up till they shake hands with your own brain and its current running speed. So let's say you're running at 9 cycles per second, and about 9, it'll slowly speed up, and your brain will follow. 9, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5, 9.6, 9.7. Now let's say I'm a drug addict from the past and I've tried to quit. Now what happens to some of these people, chemically they get locked in because while they're under the influence of, say, cocaine, their brain speed will run constantly at that chemical influence. Say it's 13.5 cycles. Whenever they're under influence, they're running 13.5, 13.5, 13.5. They quit their drugs, they go into rehab, and they come out, and once in a while they get this horrible pull. And guess what's happened? They got up in the morning, 7 cycles, 8 cycles, 9 cycles, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13.4, 13.5, 13.5, 13.5, 13.5. A normal person will go 13.5, 13.6, 13.7. They have trained their brains through drug abuse to lock at 13.5. And when that happens, it opens up this little file cabinet. And it says, this is the kind of behavior that you should engage in at this brain speed. And so they feel this tremendous draw to go back. Now, if they resist it long enough, the brain eventually will shift out. It'll re-entrain, it'll leave, 13.5, 13.6, 13.7. Now, what a brain entrainment system will do, it'll force the brain never to lock, because it'll take them through that, 13.1, 13.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can't lock. And after about 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 30 sessions, it becomes permanent. They're retrained not to lock. A normal person don't lock in. People that have had drug addictions, they lock at various speeds. And that's part of their problem of why the cravings are so strong and why they struggle with those for years. But also why after many years the struggles get less and less, because the brain is begun to re-entrain as time goes on and get rid of that craving or that habit. But that's basically how TrueFocus works. When people have anxiety problems, and I warn those of you that may run this system, they're already like this. They've got the jitters, okay? This thing has to shake hands at that speed where they feel like this. And when you put a set of goggles on somebody and a set of earphones and they're already like this, and then you amplify that effect and then train to it, you know what they feel like? I want to jump out of my skin. I thought I was bad before, 10 times as bad now. The analogy I'm using is picture these folks, it's like they've got a runaway car. They're doing over 100 miles an hour down the road and they've lost their brakes and the accelerator's stuck to the floor. And their heart's just a-pumping. And here comes a squad car and he pulls up and guess what he does? He pulls right in front of them. And they go, oh my, because all they can see is his back bumper. And I got no brakes and now they're really upset. And then they see his brake lights come on. Oh my. And pretty soon their front bumper locks in with his back bumper and he slowly applies his brakes. And after about 3 to 4 minutes, he brings them to a stop. But during that initial experience where that officer pulled out in front of us, we're ready to jump out of our skin. All we can see is a collision. That's what it can be like on this system when people are dealing with anxiety issues and we entrain to that. They can feel like they're going out of their skin. But they have to be patient because the system will walk them down, much like that officer's car will walk them down to a lower speed. And it'll retrain them to begin to normally come down. Now what's interesting when we look at the brain and how it works, the Earth itself oscillates at 7.83 cycles per second. So while we're sitting here, now it'll fluctuate, it has its own harmonics, but while we're actually sitting here, you're listening to this discussion. The Earth's electromagnetic field is around us, and the Earth has its own oscillations. It's very slow. It's called Schumann's resonance because a man named Schumann figured it out. 7.83 cycles per second, or 7.83 hertz, either one, they're interchangeable. Now, if you're actually paying real good attention here, real good attention, and we checked your brain speed right now, guess where you'd be? 7.83 cycles. When people are in total meditation, when they're very focused, they're reading a book, their brains will actually entrain to the Earth's electromagnetic energy field. And this is a moment of pure focus, is what it is. And that's not by chance that we see these kind of things going on. But it helps us to see human brain is a miraculous thing. All we're going to try to do is exercise it when there's a problem. We're going to try to teach it to reshift gears. Now, the thing about True Focus, unlike a Rife machine, once you get that system resolved, if that problem resolved, if that system works, when it does work, it can take up to 30 sessions, one a day. That goes on a shelf. That problem is gone, if it should return. Usually 1 to 2 sessions, a touch-up, and it's gone again. Nobody has to go through this long ordeal of every day being on a system like that. But that gives us some understanding then of that application.